here. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right, raise your hand if you've ever been to a Red Talk before. Awesome, lots of you. Okay, so a couple asks before we get started here. If you're a student in the room, please make sure your phone is silent right now, and please put it away. This is only going to be about a 10-minute talk, and then we'll just take a couple questions after. And I think if you give Collin your full attention today, you'll really like what he's going to say. I'm really excited about today's and tomorrow's. We have another Red Talk tomorrow at 1:30 during 7 o'clock with Gavin and George sitting over here. And these two gentlemen, Collin Haynes today and Gavin tomorrow, I think kind of bring a unique perspective to the Red Talks that we've done. I don't know if we've ever heard from them in like this formal of a setting or this format, and I think they have some really, really valuable things to say. So I'm really excited to hear both of them, as I hope you are too. We'll take a few questions at the end, so if you think of anything you want to ask Collin, feel free to ask away once he's done with his talk. But please give your full attention to him, and I think that's it. So without any further ado, please welcome Collin Haynes.
Good morning. Behind me are three of the most prominent actors in Hollywood.
You got it unmuted. There you go. It's just I think so.
What is it, Lord?
You got it.
There you go. Why did you Okay. Behind me are three of the most prominent.
Take this. Okay, for this. All right, restart. Here we go. Collin Haynes.
Alright, behind me are three of the most prominent actors in Hollywood. They're the top of the A-list. We have Jennifer Lawrence, Channing Tatum, and Johnny Depp. Now, can anyone raise their hand and tell me, who do you think had the most experience before their first big break? Gavin.
Johnny Depp.
Would anyone else like to try?
Johnny Depp.
Great answer. So, the right answer is none of them. See, none of them had any real experience before their first big break. Now, if you know anything about me, you'd probably be surprised to know that I had a lead role in this year's Dream musical, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. And you'd also be surprised to know that I have a passion for acting. It is my ultimate goal to make it my career. Now, I did that for a mock interview in my speech class because of how much I loved it. If you know anything else about me, you know that I have gained a massive reputation in school as a troublemaker. Now, I was even joking with Mr. Miller while I was writing this speech that I am the senior that still somehow thinks it's freshman year. And I'm asked on a daily basis if I play any sports. Now, that question may or may not be a racially motivated one, but I always get a certain look when I say that this tall black kid is not on the basketball team, but on the esports team. Now, as I said earlier, there are plenty of actors and actresses who have made it to the top without any real experience pushing them to their first goal. And I want to delve deeper with Channing Tatum. See, Channing Tatum didn't do anything until the early 2000s, mid to late 2000s. In the early 2000s, he was working as something that I only comment on as being an exotic dancer. You know what I'm talking about. Now, he had his first big break in 2006. Now, Channing Tatum was someone who everyone thought was just going to be a football player or a model, but he eventually pursued his career and pushed himself to be what he wanted to be, an actor. Now, by a show of hands, does anybody know who Terry Crews is? Now, did you know Terry Crews studied the flute for 8 years? He entered Western Michigan University on an art scholarship and didn't play football until after his freshman year of college. Now, he got drafted by the NFL in 1991 by the LA Rams, but he eventually retired in 97 to pursue his acting career. Someone everyone thought was just going to play for the NFL and be a bodybuilder, eventually pursued his career, pushed himself, and became an actor. But the thing is, it's not just actors that do these. And there's a great example with Elton John. Now, Elton John, his father was in the Royal Air Force, and he idolized his father throughout his childhood. His dad wanted him to push him to be a banker, something more conventional than what he actually wanted to do. But Elton John didn't even let his own father push him. Someone he idolized so dearly, he never let him push him to what he wanted to do. And he pushed himself to be a musical man. And now he's the person we know him as today. Now, a big person in the news as of recently is Chris Rock. And I'm talking primarily on his comedian side, and the reason why he got slapped in general. Now, he was bullied for years, harassed, beaten, bullied by the white kids at his school, so bad that eventually his mom pulled him out, and he had to get his GED instead of a high school diploma. He pushed himself, worked in fast food, until he finally got his first stand-up gig in 1984, where he became a comedian. Now, I can name off plenty of people who have broken through the stereotype and have gone from rags to riches, while in positions that nobody saw them getting out of. Anybody ever heard of Halle Berry? Halle Berry, eventually, after living in homeless shelters for years, just so she could start her Hollywood career, eventually pushed herself and became an actor, working in movies like X-Men and Storm. Ever heard of Ed Sheeran? Ed Sheeran slept in subway stations or anywhere he could find heat, just so he could write his music to get his start. Or Oprah Winfrey, for example. She lived a severely traumatic childhood. Someone that came from absolutely nothing, and now she's worth a staggering $2.6 billion and is the first woman to ever have her own talk show. Now, I know after hearing me spout off about a bunch of these rich people probably made you lose sight about what this Red Talk is all about. First, don't let anyone drive you in a corner. Not your parents, your siblings, or even your significant others. Don't let anyone dictate you or your life. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Maybe you fit the stereotype, maybe you don't. But I know I don't, and that's more than okay. Not everyone has to follow society's standards. You are your own person, and surrendering yourself to the ideals of others is completely wrong. No matter what it is that you want to do, you can do it. Don't take it from me. Take it from all these people who have come before you. Just because someone acts a certain way doesn't mean that's exactly who they are. Breaking stereotypes allows you to do the things you want, and enjoying them is more important than doing the things that people prescribe you to do. Different by design, that's what you can be. I know that there's more to you than what other people see.
That technical difficulty added one more thing to his hand there, which makes it really tough. So he had no cards, the slideshow remote, and a microphone in his hand, and I know that was frustrating, Collin, so I appreciate it. You did awesome. Any questions for Collin? Raise your hand out in the audience. We'll go with any of them. Yeah.
Why do you feel that you have to raise, like, why, if you're big, you're more than capable of playing sports, why don't you? You'd be good at them. I've seen you play sports.
I just don't want to. It's not that it's not in the cards for me. It's just not something that I want to do. I enjoy doing the things that maybe the little guy would like to do more than the big guy. But it doesn't matter, because that's what I want to do. And just because I might be good at basketball or good at football doesn't mean I have to do it.
Other questions? Yes?
How do you break the stereotype?
How?
It's not so much as how that's important. It's why you're doing it. If you're doing it because you want to, because that's what you want to do, how you want to be, or if you're doing it just to show off and be someone who might just want to do it just for the attention. With me, I'm doing it because that's how I am, that's what I want to do, and I like different things than what my stereotype pushes me as.
Another question? Collin, what you mentioned, you want to be an actor. Is there any person, celebrity, whatever, that has like inspired you to want to do that?
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds?
Yep.
Why?
I think he's hilarious. A lot of his roles, he's written a lot of stuff himself and done a lot of improv that actually stays in the final cut. Like there's a movie that came out on Netflix recently, or even the Deadpool scripts he worked heavily on. did a lot of stuff. Even he's the entire reason why Brad Pitt was in the second movie. Like, he's just, I think he's overall a great actor in every movie that I've seen him in.
Okay. Any last questions? Mr. Croy.
Yeah, I'm really inspired by what you shared this morning. You shared a lot about these actors who had a lot stacked against them, and they had a lot of drive to move forward. I'm curious, what is your drive and what is your plan?
It's a good question. My drive is just the way that I am. A lot of people tell me that I'm funny. I don't believe it. It's not true, as long as you ask me. Thanks. But it's just, that's what drives me. I love to make people laugh. Even if I'm having a bad day, making someone laugh is so much more important to me because I know that I'm being of use to another person. And that pushes me to want to drive and push myself forward to doing something like that, to being an actor, maybe being in a funny movie, even being a serious role, which is something that I partook in the musical. It's just, I like the entertainment side, and I love that a lot more than just playing sports for entertainment.
Great. One more? Anybody? Okay. All right. Well, thanks again for coming out today. We have Gavin George's Red Talk tomorrow at 1:30 during your 7 o'clock, so bug your 7 o'clock teachers about coming to see his. His is called Invisible Expressions, and he's going to talk about a lot of things that are meaningful in his life and kind of challenge you to figure out some of those things yourself. So that'll be a great one. We appreciate you coming. We appreciate your attention. Can you guys give it up one more time?